Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Labyrinth, a podcast produced by Virtual Executive Director. My name is Becky Brett, and I'm your host. I'm an intuitive executive coach for artists, content creators, and entrepreneurs, and I can hardly wait to bring you this week's episode with actor, comic, and professional gay, Scott Duff. But first, this podcast is brought to you by Virtual Executive Director. Have you ever thought of working with a coach? If you feel stuck in your life and business, and hey, if we're being honest with this community, they are often one and the same. A coach like me can help you get, unstuck and back into your groove. I work with clients one-on-one using the mantra of the Labyrinth, which is release, receive, return, to guide our sessions. When you work with me, you'll build relationships that support you and your work, you'll dramatically reduce the stress in your life, and you'll find more time for the people and things you love. So far, my most successful clients have come to me when they are building or birthing something new, or they're facing a major life change. They seek me out to help them shed old habits, beliefs, and thought patterns in order to fully launch themselves into their new life or project. If this sounds like you, fill out the application linked here in the show notes. If I think we'll be a good fit, I'll contact you to schedule a quick call. And look, don't worry, it's not a high-pressure sales situation because I'm the one interviewing you. Okay, this week on the podcast, I got to interview a longtime friend, and we're not using the word old. We're using longtime friend, Scott Duff. Scott is a Chicago-based actor, comic, and radio host. He's a graduate of Northwestern University. He is an artistic associate of About Face Theatre, having appeared in over 15 AFT productions. And he's performed all over Chicago, including work with the Goodman Theatre, Steppenwolf, Theater Wit, Windy City Playhouse, Lookingglass, Chicago Shakespeare Theatre, I.O., and the American Theatre Company. And, for those of you listening who understand what I'm about to say, let's just pour one out for I.O. Very sad, though probably necessary ending of that organization. Okay, getting back to it. Scott is the host and producer of Out Chicago, a live weekly talk show for the LGBT community, airing Sundays on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk AM and FM. And he has a YouTube channel called Scott Duff Cooking Stuff. Welcome to the podcast, Scott. He is someone who I've been friends with longer than I haven't in my life.
Oh God, wow, that's right.
Yeah.
We're old. We're so old. We're so old.
But look at it, we're aging very well.
We are.
I mean, yeah.
It's all about the chin tap.
It's all about the camera slightly overhead.
I know, yeah, like at the bottom of a well.
Yeah.
That's how I like it. It's like, look at there, I've got cheekbones now. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Absolutely. So it's been a while since Scott and I were able to talk together. And so I thought, why not just hit record, make it a podcast episode? We're going to step into the labyrinth.
Great.
Together. There are no wrong turns in a labyrinth. It's not like a maze where you can get lost or hit a dead end. There's no wrong turns, just steps along the path. And eventually you reach the middle, and then you can turn around and walk back out.
Yep. So, I'm very familiar with the Labyrinth.
Are you?
Yes. Well, my sister is an Episcopal priest, and that's a big, the Labyrinth is a really big thing in the Episcopal Church, because it's like a way of meditation. So just like by following the Labyrinth. So I love it.
I love a labyrinth too. In fact, the first labyrinth I ever found was at St. James Episcopal Cathedral in downtown Chicago.
Well, there we go. See, I'm telling you, they're everywhere, all of the Episcopal Church.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was an Episcopal thing, or could be kind of related to
I think it's many, but I know the Episcopalians are like, yes.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. I mean, they're ancient, so it's such a great meditation tool, and like, you think you're getting lost and like, why am I getting farther away from the middle? And then suddenly you find yourself in the center. You're like, ooh, What a
Here I
journey
am.
that was. Here I
Yeah,
am.
totally.
So how did you find yourself where you are right now as Chicago's, official gay funny person?
I have no idea. I think how I got here is kind of like my whole life has kind of been grabbing onto the ideas of improv, of yes and, like that big thing. So I say yes. I've just been saying yes to all these weird things, and and then they've kind of miraculously led me here, which is,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, it's just like, yeah. I've had the strangest life and career. It's like I was a singing and dancing waiter on a boat, and then I helped start a queer theater company here in Chicago, and then I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and I was a teacher there. Then I moved back to Chicago and started doing stand-up, and now I've got this radio show that's been going on for 6 years. And it's just like, okay, it's all about, when a door closes, a window opens, or a window, whatever that metaphor is. It's just been kind of like just saying yes. And that was the one thing that I tried to instill upon my students when I was teaching, was just like, especially when they're going off to college, I'm like, say yes to everything, try stuff, because then you'll figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've been moving through the world these days.
Was there any resistance to saying yes early on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a Capricorn. I like things to be in order. I like this happens, I know exactly what's planned out for the next 6 months or whatever. Like, I like things tidy, and I still do. And I still struggle with the whole idea of the yes and. And a lot of times, especially the past couple of months, since, we've been inside, and we have the world is a dumpster fire, and everything is horrible. And I find myself saying a lot of no buts, I kind of shut down for a while.
Yeah.
So just trying to find those moments like, all right, cool, this is not getting you anywhere. It's like, like in improv, it is not advancing the scene. It's not advancing my story. So I try to look at ways that I'm at least engaging in the world, if not moving forward, then maybe just kind of spinning around. At least there's movement.
Right.
Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, exactly. I talk often about like life being an upward spiral, that, I mean, we're still going to pass by the same pain point and the same stupid shit that you've done before. We're still going to, but the hope is that we're slightly elevated each time. So it maybe sucks less, or we're a little bit better at handling it, or just that we're better, even though we're passing by the same, stupid shit we've done before.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. But with all my luck, I usually slip on a banana peel and slide down that spiral a little bit, And be like, oh, there's that. Oh, yeah. Oh. And then like having to like climb back up.
Yeah.
But it's all about, it's like a Beckett play, like the whole thing about, everyone talks about like Beckett being like so moody and dark and whatever, that whole play there. I think it's like Play Without Words 1, where it's nothing but like a man trying to kill himself. Like a palm tree comes down, he tries to hang himself on the palm tree, but like the rope doesn't reach, or there's a thing or a gun, but he can't reach it, blah blah blah. And everyone's like, oh, it's just so depressing. It's like, it's about him trying to end his life. It's like, yeah, but he keeps trying. Yeah, I know that's very dark. Hilarious. To put like, oh, it's a happy spin, like, oh yay, but but it is like, yeah, I think it's as human beings navigating this world, I think it's just the audacity of hope.
Yes, exactly.
As a former president once wrote.
Yes, a great man.
Yeah, a great
complete sentences.
Yeah, oh God. Oh, dear Lord.
Okay.
Anyway,
before we go off the political rails,
right? Sorry.
Well, I think so. When you and I first met, it was you were in high school,
I
and
was
I
still in
was
high
in
school, yeah.
college. Yeah, and we worked on a play together.
Bye-bye,
Musical.
birdie.
Bye, bye, Birdie.
Bye-bye, birdie.
Oh my God! And I think was that like right before? Had you come out yet? If we
No,
can go
it
that
was
far
that
back,
summer.
like
It was
so,
that.
I knew you, and you still proclaimed to be.
Well, did I proclaim to be straight?
I
Well,
don't think
no.
you really did. Not
Well,
around
no,
us.
not around you all. No, but I guess I was. I was still dating my girlfriend in high school.
Oh
But
my gosh!
oh yeah, don't you remember? Oh, now so many memories
I
flooding
remember
back.
your first gay date because I went with you.
Oh, with Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. I keep trying to find him, and I can't find him. I'm just so
He looks
curious. I'm like, whatever
Chris
happened to him?
Cudahy, if you're out there.
Chris Cudahy, where are
Chris
you?
Cudahy, where are you? I can't believe I conjured his whole name.
Oh, this is the thing that's so weird is like this is not the first time in some sort of interview situation where I brought up his name. I mean, it's my first love, and it was my first big real awakening. And I was in between my junior and senior year in high school. You were between your freshman and sophomore year of college, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I just kind of, and it was no weird sort of like turmoil and Sturm und Drang. It was just like, oh, I think I'm gay. And I think I like Chris. Now there was the Sturm und Drang of me, like, how do I tell Chris? Oh my God, I want to tell Chris.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that is because of you and our crazy circle of friends that we were hanging out with that summer. That summer really changed my life.
Agree.
It was a big thing. And in fact, actually meeting it's because of you.
Oh shit.
And Christine Irene.
Yes.
That I even thought about going to Northwestern.
Oh.
Like I didn't even hit me. It wasn't on my radar. You all were talking it up, and then I came up and I visited you. I stayed with you.
Yep.
And wasn't Darlene Hunt?
Darlene Hunt. She's someone I need to get on this podcast.
Yes. Yeah. No, she didn't. It wasn't your roommate, but she lived a couple doors down.
Yeah.
I remember that. But I remember first meeting her that weekend. But it was like it's because of you and like the Vaughns. The Vaughn, for you listening out there, the Vaughns were this crazy family that had this theater company.
Theater family, yeah.
That was for like young people, run by young people, and it was just to give folks in suburban St. Louis a creative outlet and to find their voice and to play.
Yeah.
To play. And that's another thing that I tried to live by too. There's this crazy. Have you ever read Peter Bogdanovich's Free Play? That sounds so fancy.
I have not.
Look at me dropping, when I'm reading Peter Bogdanovich.
Go on.
Blah, 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 as you do. No, but there is I had to read it for some class at Northwestern. And there's this phrase about galumphing. And he defines galumphing as the unabashed play that you find only in puppies, baby gorillas, and young civilizations. And that really resonated with me. So I'm like, to try to have that sense of play. And it's fun. I'm just rambling right now because now I'm thinking, oh yeah, there's another thing that I remember that really inspired me, as a young artist, like in my 20s in Chicago, watching Mary Zimmerman's adaptation of Arabian Nights. And
it was so beautiful.
Right?
Yes.
Gorgeous. And then Laura Eason, who's now super fancy, along with Darlene Hunt. She was playing a character called Sympathy the Learned, where she was being asked a lot of questions by these scholars. And one of the questions is, what is the chief purpose of life? And she paused for a moment and said, to cultivate enthusiasm. And that, I think, is such a healing and inclusive way to live. That was one of the things that another thing that I really tried to instill with my students. It's like, all right, let's get excited about this. Let's and then again, let's that's how I try to walk through the world. So yeah, we were talking about St. Louis
when
we were young.
Then we got off on Characters and Company, and then we got off to and Mary Zimmerman. It's all theater, right? It all comes back to theater, and that radical acceptance of what is in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing you said yes, it seems to me like one of the early things you said yes to was your own sexuality.
Yeah, and I was never ashamed by it, which is odd.
Oh, I love that.
Like, I've always was like, okay, you've got a problem with it. That's your problem. Now, not to say that I didn't have like fear and live in fear for years. You know, I mean, it was a different time. Well, first off, it was suburban St. Louis, not the most accepting place in the world or progressive place. It was still in the height of the AIDS epidemic, where anybody who was gay, it was commonly thought of not if, but when you get AIDS.
Yeah.
There was the time of, you know, it was before Matthew Shepard, you know, being killed, and their gay bashing were still around. I mean, there was a lot of stuff to be fearful about. And then especially like moving into going through any sort of academic life where you are learning a creative discipline, or you're discovering your voice and having that part be silenced. And then moving into a career, it's like, okay, so are you going to be actor Scott Duff, or are you going to be gay actor Scott Duff? You know, and that was like a really tricky thing to kind of grapple with. And my decision was kind of made for me back in 95 when Eric Rosen and Kyle Hall approached me. I had just finished I did a tour with this really unfortunate Shakespeare company my first year out of college, but I was lucky enough to get to spend a month in Europe, and like a year from when I graduated college, I was performing Shakespeare in a Globe Theater in Germany for an audience with like people from 5 different countries. Like, it was like, oh, how cool. Hindsight is 2020. It was very romantic. It was great. But when I got back, they asked me, they're like, they were both in grad school at Northwestern. And they were like, hey, we're doing this adaptation of this book, Dream Boy by Jim Grimsley. It's a little dark. We need some light into it. Can you come in and audition for it? And it's a beautiful story. There's actually a movie out of it now, but the book is delicious. And I was a part of that staged reading in, I want to say like March or February or March of 1995. And later that year, they were like, well, we're going to start a theater company, and this is going to be the first thing that we do. Will you be in it? So it's like, okay, so now I'm 24, 25. Let's do the big gay play for the new gay theater company
in Big Gay Chicago.
And then like that was the year that I marched in my first Pride Parade. And it was way before, you know, Pride Parades had become what they are. You know, they were still actually kind of a protesty type thing. There, you know, you didn't have Chase Bank and Miller Beer. Right. You know, if you've got the time, we've got the queers, Miller Beer. You know, like there's none. Well, there were politicians, and there were still some like government people showing support, but there was still this whole. There was an element of radicalness about it, and I remember that, to me, more than doing the big gay play, felt even bigger, like a bigger step, because it's like I am now being public. I am walking through the streets of Chicago, proclaiming my queerness, embracing my gay identity, and there's no hiding it. So that was a huge, huge step. But going back to, but the weird thing is, like, I never felt bad that I was gay. You know, I just felt like bad about what you might do to me, if you found out that I was gay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it seems like time has stood still in many ways, or we've regressed as a nation. Because once again, do you feel fearful now, or do you feel? How do you feel now?
No. I mean, no. Fortunate because I live in Chicago, which is a huge, big gay bubble. We've got a big gay mayor
That's true.
who's also kind of blowing it right now, in my opinion. But I feel like, even like Boys Town is no longer Boys Town. Like, nobody gay lives in Boys Town. It's nothing but double wide strollers around the neighborhood, and there are some bars that are still happening there. But it's the whole the visibility and the acceptance. I don't feel that. And this sounds horrible. The only time that I feel really, really uncomfortable is when I am around people and I hear a Russian accent. I know. Wow. It's weird and very specific and probably racist of me. But I've seen too many movies. There's a great documentary on HBO. Did you see? It's called Hunting or Hunted. And it's about gay people being hunted in Russia and what they do to these men when they find them.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, it's eye-opening. It should be required material. But I always feel a little weird. And I know, God, I can't believe I just said that. But I did. But I did.
It's recorded.
I did. I know. Thank you. Oh,
it's
good.
Okay.
I'm owning it. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know. But it's I don't know. It's just weird. I think because now, there's we do have a big queer backlash. If you do know anything, about queer politics these days, Russia is awful with what they do with their gay men in particular. So that's the only time that I don't feel safe.
Yeah.
And even then it's kind of like a perceived safety issue as opposed to I'm in any real danger. Because what are they going to do? Really, what are they going to do to me right now? But there is always a moment of pause of oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, it's I think we all have our prejudices. Let's just put that out there.
Yeah.
And it's all based on our own personal experience. And what you find triggering can be super weird. I am never scared to walk into or through a group of Black people. Never scared of that. Don't know why, just never scared of it. I get triggered by a group of redneck men.
Well, I wonder why. That is not surprising at all. Not surprising whatsoever.
Yeah. I will walk around a group of redneck men. And by redneck, let me define that. So I don't offend as more people than I've already offended. Is that the bros who have the Confederate flags and all the Trump stickers on their trucks, because it's a truck, and who always drive their truck with their dog in the way back in the open bed of
in the bed? Yeah. No, I get you.
And they're open carrying.
Yeah. Oh, that's where is that real where you live?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, honey, look, I'm genetically liberal, right?
Right.
And even I own a pistol and I have my concealed carry permit.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I know how to use it. I'm
so
actually
back the fuck off.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny. Around here, it's just not even a thing. A bunch of my liberal friends, we all have our. It's so funny. I don't know why I'm going off on this tangent, but the women of my the executive committee of the board of the festival that I run, We were just having this conversation the other day, and I was I was like so surprised. Like I think every single one of them, we were like, oh yeah, I've got a pistol, I've got my concealed carry. Oh yeah, I've got my this, I've got my that. I'm like, all these women, all these like liberal, artsy minded women. I think it's just a factor of where I live, which is rural America now.
Yeah. And
I
it's a
mean,
factor of where you live, but it's also like, hello, the Second Amendment isn't just for just for
right.
the GOP. It's like
Exactly.
I've got a good friend of mine here. Her name is Tamale. She's a comic. She does everything. She is tattooed. She is like goth. She has to draw on her eyebrows, with this fire engine red eyebrows and this fire engine red hair, on the most like progressive, like kumbaya, come with me. Like we can do this together. But I don't know how many guns she has.
Oh wow.
She's like, yeah, I got them. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, cool.
Right. Yeah.
It's
It's so
yeah,
weird.
it is a weird
Speaking
thing.
about so weird, let's talk about you in Memphis.
Okay. What's so weird about that?
Teaching, and because I think am I remembering correctly, you could not be fully out at school?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I got to Memphis because in 2001 I had gone to someone's birthday party. Like she was turning 30, and there was a big fabulous. It was 2000. There was a big fabulous. She was like, "I'm renting out a campground in Tennessee, and we have these little A-frame houses, and I'm just inviting all the people that I love the most. We had just met, but we became really, really close friends." She's like, "I would love for you to be there." And when I went there, she's like, "You're my Chicago Jerry Dye," and I'm like, "What's a Jerry Dye?" And so that they fly down there to this campground, and then like at about 10 o'clock at night, tromping through the darkness comes the most beautiful man I think I have ever seen. And I'm like, "Oh, that's a Jerry Dye." And right behind Jerry Dye was his boyfriend, Adam. And I'm like, um, and we just had this incredible weekend together in 2000. And then we went away, and like Amy and I, my friend, whose birthday it was, we were working on a show together, and actually put Jerry and his boyfriend into the show. And we kept in touch over the years. And then Jerry got fired by his boyfriend. They broke up. And then after a year, he came to Chicago to find me. This was like the days before Facebook and all that stuff. And we hit it off, and we had this incredible, like it was very like romantic, and this long distance relationship. And a friend of mine who was basically early 30s, and who died of an aneurysm. But before she died, she'd been saying yes. She'd been going. She's like, it was right after 9/11. She was really feeling like, I need to do stuff. And her husband was like, well, let's make these changes. What can you do? Here's your list of your bucket list. And so she jumped out of a plane and dyed her hair pink, and she got back into stand up, and she, and then she passed away. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, you're in Memphis. I'm here in Chicago. This doesn't happen very often.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this. So like a good lesbian, after 4 months of being together, I moved to Memphis. Sorry, all that backstory. So now when I go to teach, it was this, what I perceived to be this really cool independent school in the Episcopal tradition. There actually was a Labyrinth on campus to continue with the Labyrinth thing. And it was like, it just felt really good. And so I had to go through like new teacher training. And then at the end of that, there was like a potluck for all the new hires and for all the people who had worked on campus during the summer. And one of them was the only openly gay student, who was a rising senior. And the assistant head of school was like, I think you might want to talk to Clay, because I think you could be a good influence for Clay. They never mentioned anything. I'm like, oh, okay. And driving home, I was so excited. I remember calling my mom. She's like, "Oh my gosh, this place is so amazing. We just did this thing." And they were like, "Hey, you're openly gay. You're a gay man. Here's the one openly gay kid who came out when he was in 7th grade
Oh my gosh.
in Memphis, Tennessee, in the suburbs of Memphis, which is much more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And like, be a mentor." And I was like, I'm in the right place. And then the first day of school, 10 minutes before the day began, before the convocation began, the same guy who pushed me together to be with the student said, "Hey, we have some students who are going to be not in your class this year." And their parents cited religious reasons. And he's like, "And I think I know what that means." And I looked at him, I'm like, I fucking know what that means. Like, there's no think about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. They, it's very, so I went through my entire first day just seething. I was so mad. And then at the end of the day, I was called to the head of school's office. And I don't care how old you are, being called to the principal's office is still scary as shit.
Oh yeah.
And then he put me on the don't ask, don't tell policy. Like, if student asks you about your sexuality, you cannot say yes. You cannot talk about it at all.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was hard. Mm-hmm. That was really, really hard, especially because it was the type of environment that they were cultivating was like, we are here to create a space where young people feel comfortable interacting with adults and creating a relationship, creating that sort of, mentor student, just being comfortable around that. And the whole theme of the year was celebrate your story. And I'm like, okay, so you
but
basically,
not that part of your story.
But yeah, basically everybody's story except mine.
Yeah.
And for the next month I walked around on eggshells, just like watching my gestures and how am I speaking, doing my voice, like, and make sure I'm not saying anything too weird or gay. And I was having a really hard time. And I started seeing the school counselor, like I would pop into her office. I'm like, "Hey, Mrs. Brand, how are you doing today? Hey, blah, 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 blah," like,
yeah.
And, I was like, I don't know what to do, because when a kid comes out to me, and it's going to happen, how can I, as the healthy, adjusted, well, whatever that means, but like, I'm comfortable with who I am, like the adult role model, to say I can't talk about that. And she said, I always take into consideration what is best for the student, regardless of what the administration says. And the best gift that you can give your students is to be your authentic self. And
smart lady.
Yeah. Oh, I love her. We're still friends to this day. Even though that was 2007. 2007, I was being put on the don't ask, don't tell policy. 2007.
Insane.
Yeah, it was bananas. But from that point on, it was like, okay, whatever. And I was the theater teacher. Shocker. And living the stereotype. Yes. Hello. But I made sure that every single person that I hired to come in and help with the show, like to build the sets and do the lights and whatever, that they were all gay. Yeah. And I got gays from all different kinds of. My favorite was like my friend Carrie, who he was in his 60s at the time. He like had a stroke, so he had limited mobility on his right side of his body, but he built our sets.
Wow.
He was just a cranky man, but like gay as Christmas, And then I had like my friend Chris, who's this awesome like little baby dyke, it's like, and she'd come do the lights and so I'd make sure that like, and then my partner Jerry would come in and help with the costumes, and I'd be like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
Here you go. Collierville, here's some gays.
I think everyone needs a gay.
Everyone needs a gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it started out really rough, that whole experience. And again, it was one of those things I'm like, I take no, I mean, you have every right to do this because unfortunately there are no laws protecting me at the time.
Yeah.
In the state of Tennessee, but like at the end of the year, we were at a meeting nominating awards, and people were nominating this kid Clay for I think it was an award about persistence. And they're like, I don't know, he's really mean to people, and he is mean. Like, he was a mean kid, but just, I mean, he was snarky and like reserved, and he had opinions. Super duper smart. Like, he's a doctor now. And I stood up. I'm like, yeah, of course he's going to be mean. He's had people attack him his entire life.
Yeah.
You know, like, and yet he is still like the president of the class. He is still on like the prefect board. Like, he's still made all of these achievements, you know, in spite of this adversity. If that doesn't sound like persistence, anything, you know, like what else could it, what's more persistent than that? And I remember, and I told the story, like, look, here's the deal. In my life, I have been beaten up, chased, had my stuff vandalized. I understand that, but I've never had anybody say, I don't want you around my kid. And that's how this year started out for me. And when the head of school heard that again, the next day there was a handwritten letter of apology to me. He's like, I completely forgot that is how your experience here began. And I cannot tell you how sorry I am and what a beacon of light you have become, not only for the students, but for the community here at the school. And it meant the world to me. So,
wow.
So yeah. So, I mean, I think that's the whole thing, like living authentically, moving forward, saying yes, like that is the way that you make change. That is how you change people and you change things.
How did you know it was going to be okay? I mean, you pick up and move from Chicago to Memphis, which some people would think is insane. And then, you know, like come actually speaking your truth at your job, which didn't want you to do that. And like, how do you know it's going to be okay? Like, what do you check in with internally or not? Or how do you know?
I don't know. I didn't. You know, I think it was because I was in Memphis for 3 years. Like I before I got that job. So I kind of knew the vibe of the town. And Memphis is actually, like, Memphis, the city itself, is pretty cool.
Yeah,
like it's great.
It really is.
And it's beautiful. And I missed, oh God, do I miss the springtime? The spring. Yeah. Spring in Memphis, Tennessee is one of the most gorgeous things. That song by the Indigo Girls, Southland in the Springtime, they are not lying. It is just, it is gorgeous. It's like, it's great. And I made some incredible friends, like family type friends, like you know, it's like, it's one of those things where, like, okay, these are people that are going to be with me for the longest time, forever. And I know that they'll have my back. But going into that situation, it's just like, okay, you hired me because I have a certain skill set. I have a certain intellect. I have a certain way of interacting with people, and you liked me. This is just another part of me. So if this is going to be the big stumbling block, then maybe I don't need to be here. You know, that's kind of like the attitude. I'm like, all right, I can't do my job unless you allow me to be me completely. So it was a total leap of faith. I had no idea how it was going to work. And I never bragged about anything in class or talked about Jerry. He would just kind of show up, you know, to like rehearsals and stuff. But there was nothing, but you weren't like making out in the lobby. No. And I wasn't like just totally like, you know, making gross comments about stuff or, you know, anything like that. But it was just like, okay, I'm just going to relax. Yeah. And a lot of it is like, you know, before we began recording, you took this very big, deep breath. And I'm like, that's kind of what it was like. Okay, just take that deep breath. Yeah. You know, get some air in, release it, and then let's go. Yeah. You have an evolved consciousness about yourself. Do I? I don't
Yeah,
know.
you do. You do, to be that comfortable in your own skin and to be that secure and that willing to release people who don't fit with you or release situations. It just seems
Yeah.
like that was kind of has that always come easy for you, or
No. I have to take my hat off. Sorry, forgive my gross hair, but it's hot in here. I'm sorry. We're recording
no
this
one
in
can
my
see it.
closet. I know
Yeah.
you can, but I just had to let you know. Like,
Yes.
we'll do that. There we go.
Uh,
No, I mean, I've always been a people pleaser. It's one of those, like, I have that typical, not typical, but it's like one of the characteristics of gay men of being the good boy.
mm,
And that's how kind of I was brought up. And part of it, I mean, a lot of it has to deal with my parents splitting up when I was really, really young. I have two siblings, both of whom they're like 9 and 12 years older than I am. So when I was becoming a person, they were out of the house. So it was just me and my mom. So I
mhm.
know, like during like elementary school, there was a lot of, while my sister was still around, who is my hero.
Mm.
Love her. Uh, there was a lot of, if I'm good, maybe they'll get back together type of thing. Like that when you're young, you don't
Mhm.
quite understand that whole
Adult relationships.
adult
Yeah.
relationships. Yeah. So like I was always a good, I was the good kid. I made good grades. I sang in the church choir. I was an acolyte at church. I was really active in church growing up. Um, and I always wanted to please people. And I think as I've grown older, I still want to please people, just not in that way that's crippling or like enabling type of things,
Mhm.
but more along the lines of, I hope to be a force of good.
Mm.
And if you can't recognize what I'm doing, then, or how I move through the world, then maybe we don't need each other. You
Mm.
know, like I
Yeah.
just like, it's just, and especially today, like in this, it was social media and stuff. And, we're in the middle of this like election cycle that's coming up. I mean, we're at the end of it, but not soon enough.
Yeah.
I just like, I had friends from high school who were reaching out, like, friend me and blah, blah, blah. And then I found myself getting caught up in these like horror shows that they would be writing about, like very conservative, very racist, and I'm like, why? Why? But then I found myself just even recently, like 2 weeks ago, of
Mhm.
me going back and like, "Oh, what are they saying now?" And I want to be angry, blah. Um, and then I was like, this is not helping me. This is
No,
not
it
helping
doesn't
me.
seem like that would fuel your comedy very well.
No, no. So it's like, so I'm like, all right, we're done. We're just like, so I'm like, Dick, and it's so easy to do. Look, unfriend.
Yeah.
So I think it's trying to find those. Jerry always talks about finding his tribe, like
Mhm.
finding your group of people that feed your soul, that challenge you, that love you, that are there for you when you fuck up,
Yeah.
and that are there for you when you celebrate your successes. And so I think that's what I've been trying to do, is to like cultivate my tribe.
And how have you been doing?
Well, okay. I like the people that I have in my life. I think I can do better in terms of broadening my circle.
Mhm.
You know, I get very caught up. Sometimes I can get very tunnel visiony, especially
Mm.
right now when like back in February before this whole thing hit. Like I was diagnosed with I have blood clots in my leg.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I've basically been inside since February. So like when the
Ooh.
whole thing hit, like in March, and we were on lockdown through, it was almost through May. Yeah, because we were,
Yeah.
Chicago went on lockdown in mid to late March, and then we basically through May.
Mm.
It was intense. It was really, really intense. So my world is kind of going,
Yeah.
So I think I can do better about expanding it.
Yeah. It requires a certain amount of safety to feel expansive.
Yeah. And that's the tricky thing too, because, because I still have these clots, I've got deep vein thrombosis, which sucks. It's a pre-existing condition. So I've been
That's super
invited.
fun with insurance.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, that's a whole other story too. It's like
that's another podcast.
That's another podcast already. Oh. No, but I've had comedy clubs reach out to me like, "Hey, are you performing?" I'm like, no, because I don't want to be inside. And it's tricky.
Yeah.
So so I guess that's your tribe question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How hard is it to be funny right now?
Incredibly hard.
Yeah.
For me personally. Also, cue the violins, also so in February I was diagnosed with, DVT, and then my mom died at the end of March. So it was right at the beginning of this. She lost her battle with Alzheimer's. And I'm in Chicago. She was in a facility out in Iowa near my sister. So we haven't been able to meet to grieve and to celebrate her, which has been really, really tricky. So there's that sadness that I'm kind of still processing, because there hasn't been that ritual. I think rituals are really, really important for people.
They're
definitely important for me.
Yeah.
And so we haven't been able to have that sort of moment. And then these days, with all of the anger and vitriol that is just being thrown out into the world, it's challenging to find what is funny, especially for something that's going to be kind of for a universal crowd. A lot of people these days, when they go see comedy, they don't want to hear about politics. They've come for escapism, which I totally get. But the only thing that I want to talk about is the shit that's going on right now. And that's the tricky part. So I'm still trying to navigate that. I do find social media can be a good way to bring people joy, in terms of being able to have that political bent right now, as opposed to if it was a live audience. I never do anything political.
Oh, you don't?
Or at least, well, no, but I do, unless it's about gay stuff. Then it's gay in your face.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's your whole, being a professional gay, if you didn't, you wouldn't be doing your job.
Yeah. Right. Right. Well, but
you
I think
fire yourself.
Yeah. Well, but the whole reason that whole thing, even the professional gay thing, came around was, trying to make my move through the world as a creative person, as a funny person, as a caring person. When marriage equality was becoming the law of the land, and there was so much support behind, everyone's yes, everybody get married. That same year, there was a study that came out of the University of Indiana that 70% of people still don't like seeing same-sex affection. So there's still this whole thing about we support you, we just don't want to see you. You know what I mean? So when I get on stage, they're going to see me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where that's the political skew that I take.
Yeah. Well, where do you receive joy?
Oof. These days it's hard. Not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. But cooking, definitely cooking. Cooking makes me, it is my zen. It is the place where I'm all right, there we go. Let's just let everything melt away. I'm focusing on this task. At the end, it's going to be delicious, and I will be feeding people that I love as well as myself.
Yeah.
So that's always been good.
Did you make some YouTube videos or
I
something?
did, yeah. I started at the beginning of this whole thing. I was putting out some videos, and then my mom passed away, and I'm like, and then the civil injustice and all this stuff that's happening. I'm like, this just seems
went to shit.
Yeah, everything just went to shit, and I'm like, what? This just seems a little petty about watching like a guy, who has a potty mouth and wants to make you,
well, but maybe
vlogs.
That's exactly what we need right now.
Well, I'm definitely going to start coming back into it. I've missed doing them. I've missed doing them, so I think they're going to start coming.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, kids. Scott Duff Cooking Stuff is coming back. Yeah, but also part of it too is like, as living in Chicago, I've been taking every second I can to be outside.
Yeah. I mean, you only get like 2 good months of it. So
yeah. And I'm like, and since I've already been inside, so I've been finding joy, like literally just walking, just going out, and like I know my routes if I want to take, do my 12,000 step walk, or if I want to do my 18,000 step walk, or if I want to do
like I know overachiever.
I know where they are. I got my routes, but I just put in like, now, of course, I kind of like pee in the pool with the whole thing by listening to, the news while I take my walk. But it's a way to kind of like, okay, I'm moving. Again, it's all about moving forward. It's about you're listening to this shit in your ear and the shit that's going on in the world, but you're moving forward. And I know that sounds so hokey, kumbaya, bullshitty stuff, but there is something about moving your body. So that's something that has been bringing me a lot of joy.
Oh,
a lot of joy. And our my little patio. We've got, our places, we're lucky because we've got this like a beautiful patio, and we just tricked it out with like ferns and flowers and herbs and tomatoes, and that's just kind of, again, just being outside and being able to step away from the screen.
Yeah,
is always good.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, definitely. Is there anything like that you from young adulthood to now, I'm thinking about the things we carry with us, just thinking about that forward motion. And is there anything that you have shed along the way? I'm also thinking of your, on your website, the video you have, the strip joker video.
Oh, yeah. Which one? Which
is so funny, where you basically strip down to like a union
suit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's been a huge thing, actually. Strip Joker, with that particular show, I eventually became a producer of that show, which had been running we just celebrated our 3rd anniversary, but of course with COVID, it's on hiatus right now. But for those people, if people aren't familiar with that, it is a body positive stand-up show where comedians say jokes and they take their clothes off. And that has been such a huge, huge thing for me, because I have always had body issues, just in terms of like, I don't look good enough, or I don't have these lines, or I'm too fat, or blah, blah, whatever it is.
Whatever bullshit runs through your head.
Whatever bullshit runs through your head, because, you don't look like the people. I think gay men and women feel the exact same pressure, to look a certain way. Like we are marketed like this is how you're supposed to look, and then add aging into it, where again, gay men and women are invisible in their, 50s or 40s, whatever it is.
I just turned 50 this year.
Yeah.
It's like,
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that has been so super empowering to get up and to say jokes. Again, one of the things that I do love about comedy, like it's great to make people laugh. That is such an incredible and important release. But there is something that like I get out of it personally. It's because it is a forceful act. You are making people laugh, and there's something a little power trippy about it.
There's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, especially as a gay man who's like, shut up, faggot. We don't want to hear from you. As opposed to now it's like, ha, made you laugh. To be doing that, and to be in this room where you are taking out, like, you don't get completely naked. Like I usually get down to like a jock strap, And pasties, because all of the male identifying people wear pasties in solidarity for the female bodied people, because they're not allowed to show nipples. So no one's allowed to show nipples. So we all put pasties on. But there's
Is that like a Chicago law, like
Yeah.
a Chicago ordinance? Because I remember you're not allowed to be completely naked, and that's why the men at the Lucky Horseshoe would wear like boots.
They still have to. You can't show your ding dong. There's no
right. So boots and a G-string.
No holes, no poles.
Yeah.
Is basically the thing. And then, but for female bodied people, you're not allowed. If you have breasts, you're not allowed to show your nipples.
Oh.
So which is because apparently, and you do, they're going to take away your liquor license. So out of solidarity, we wear everyone wears them. But there's something very empowering of like, when you take off, like you're making people laugh, and then you're going to have you have this moment of power, and then you're going to be really vulnerable. It's like, all right, I'm going to take off my shirt now. And you have this room of people who are like, you are amazing. One of our, we sponsored with, there's a movement here in Chicago. It's the You Are Beautiful movement. It's a local artist who just puts up these installations across the city that simply say, you are beautiful. And that is the mission of Strip Joker, of that show, is to highlight primarily queer and Black and brown bodies and female bodies that you don't see, and to celebrate them. So that's been like one of the biggest things, is really trying to shed my body image issues. And it's a constant struggle, especially with, the COVID-19, like,
exactly.
I mean, hello, I've been cooking up a storm.
Yeah. Sidebar or side note, I worked with someone last year who developed light up pasties that have a sensor on them, so that when you like wave your hand in front of it, it'll light up.
Oh.
Yes. So I'm just saying, if you need that person in your life.
I might need that person. That'd be great too.
Yeah. You can put on your own light show.
Do that. That'd be great.
Yeah. He and his wife are members of a burlesque troupe that did Game of Thrones, the burlesque show, for George R.R. Martin.
Shut up. Shut up. That's amazing.
I will not shut up.
I won't silence you. I won't silence you.
Bobby, and he lives in Richmond. And shout out to Bobby and all the work that he did on this wolf crystal sculpture last year, and his burlesque troupe. Yeah.
Love it.
I do too.
Love it.
I love performers, like artists, creative people who are just like, you know what, we're in a shit show, but you know what, we're here. And that, like I said it earlier, that radical acceptance of where we are and what's around us is so, it's like, it's the biggest release. Instead of trying to force something to be different or force reality to match your perception or your needs, or just be where you are, be in the situation you're in, and make the most of it. Yeah,
exactly. Which is hard to do.
Yeah,
it's hard to do at times. It really is. Like, we can talk like, oh yeah, be where you are and celebrate. Blah. Right. It's like, but there are some days where you're like, fuck.
Yeah, you just don't want to.
Yeah,
I want to sit here in my sad and my frustration for a minute and feel the feelings I'm feeling.
And do that. Because that too is where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true.
It's true. It's like, okay, but the trick is not wallowing and not staying
right.
there.
Don't move in and unpack.
Yeah. It's it's all
in,
about
say hello.
Step in, say hello, and move through.
And then,
because in that spiral, you're going to run up against it again.
Yeah.
Full circle. Look at me bringing it back around to the beginning.
I love a good callback. Well, what do you, let's talk about the future. I mean, like the meme says, no one got right in 2015 where they saw themselves 5 years.
5 years, right. But I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea.
How do you see like taking our COVID lessons and gifts? Because I mean, really, not to downplay anyone's personal experience with COVID-19, the disease, I think a lot of us have been given a gift this year, the gift of pause, the gift of reflection, the gift of family.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Time, rest. I mean, we've been given a lot. Like, I don't use an alarm anymore, and that has been the most amazing thing ever, right? Just because.
So because there is no such thing as time.
Time does not exist. Yes.
I know. I'm still kind of like, wait, what day is today? Like, I was in a panic all day yesterday. I'm like, oh, I got to get ready for this podcast. Nope. That's tomorrow. Today is Wednesday. Nope. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Further proof that time is an illusion. But how do you see, or have you started getting glimpses of life after COVID, or life in the new normal, whatever the new normal is for you? Like, how will you be in the world, do you think, moving forward in the short term, while we still have COVID going on, and then maybe afterwards? Like, how are you forever changed? Or are you? That was a very deep question.
That's very deep. Asked. Go. We've got 3 minutes left. Truthfully, I don't know. I think a lot of it is just kind of like waiting and seeing, like, what is going to present itself. I think a lot is going to depend on what happens with this election.
Yeah.
That's been causing me a lot of anxiety. I think a lot of it, like, I don't know what I'm going to do should he get reelected. Because it's been, the last 4 years have been hard, especially, I've got this radio show that's on a progressive talk station, so we're expected to be up on the news. So I've been watching a lot and consuming a lot of news. So it's just like, I can't take that anymore. And just in terms of like how we move, I don't know. I think I'm waiting right now. Yeah. Truthfully, it's just a lot of like, okay, so I have these opportunities. I don't know if I feel safe to like go and perform comedy right now because I've got blood clots in my leg. And if you have blood clots and you get this thing, it's really bad. What exactly is funny right now? Maybe I need to move, instead of being like a performance, maybe I should be writing my stuff, maybe explore different formats, like write some essays or something. But I think a lot of it is just kind of like seeing what's going on and knowing that there's so many possibilities. I mean, Jerry and I, we've talked about like, well, fuck it. We don't need to be in Chicago. Let's move somewhere else. We're talking about maybe these giant moving plans. We're talking about, I lost most of my income because of this pandemic and the way it's been responded to. So and I lost my health insurance, and, like, it's been a scary, scary time. But now I'm like, but I'm, writing copy for social media. I'm picking up some freelance stuff and doing these things. So like, who knows? I think the thing is, it's trying to remind yourself, or at least just me trying to remind myself, that there are possibilities. Like, don't let the day-to-day, don't let the vitriol, don't let the hate that is being around, don't let that seep in, or let it seep in, but then wash it off of you, like get it off, because there will be a way through. There will be, like, that. I keep thinking about, even if the fucker gets elected again, we've been through shitty times. I don't know if they've been this shitty, or the shit level that's going to happen, because I mean, Lord only knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. In
that little teeny tiny brain of his. But we survived. We've gotten through it. And like you said, it's that spiral. Right now we might not be ascending. It might not be an ascending spiral.
A holding pattern.
It might be in a holding pattern. Might even be going down a little bit. Until we find, the ladder before we go down the chute.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's never too late to do something. So I think that's, I don't have like that 5-year goal because who knows? I mean,
let's do a 5-day plan, right? We don't need 5-year plans anymore.
Yeah. Even a 5-hour plan, if 5 days are too much, it's like, okay, so what do I want to get done today? Like if that's too much, if this is too much to think about all the way down there, great. Let's make smaller goals that are achievable, so you're setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
So like, where do I see myself in 5 years? I don't know, wearing a caftan on a beach, making gumbo for some, I don't know, but like, I don't know. But hopefully wherever it is, if you find
yourself there, I will join you.
I will call you. Come down to my little cabana, my little hut.
Yeah, exactly. What do you find funny now? Let's go out on a high note.
What do I find funny now? Like specific situations or
anything that makes you laugh.
Schitt's Creek has been giving me life. We just started the final season.
Oh, I have not, because it's not on Netflix yet, so I have not.
Right. Girl, we bought it. We're like, I can't wait. I cannot wait, Netflix. There's a pin. You are missing. You should be striking when the iron is hot.
Exactly.
But no, I guess they're holding out so you actually make some money. No, we started it, and it's just like, actually, this one, it's not as funny as the previous seasons, but it is definitely like gives you all the feels.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they're kind of wrapping things up in delicious ways. I've
that wine commercial, the Moira Rose wine commercial.
Herb Erdlinger, true wine, crab apple. If you like the taste of crab apple and the springtime, Herb Erdlinger's fruit wine. What the what dialect is that? Like, what is?
It's hers.
I know. Is it like aggressively Canadian trying to do standard RP and American? Like, it's just, she's delicious.
Yes.
So like Schitt's Creek is making me happy. 30 Rock brings me joy. I love celebrating funny women. I've always been attracted to funny women. Like they make, again, it's like I believe them more, So even like Tiffany Haddish, who is to me, she is not a great stand-up, but that show, her Black Mitzvah special.
Oh yeah.
Is delightful because she's so just charismatic and she's telling her truth, and I love that. We've been watching a lot of. I think we're working all the way through all the 30 Rock.
Oh wow!
Episode seasons, and we're talking like old school NBC 23 shows a season.
Yeah,
none of this like 6 or 7 episode bullshit. We're talking
exactly. Who does a season of 10 episodes?
I don't know. Rude indeed.
Yeah.
So that's been it's the funny ladies in my life. That's what brings me joy.
I will say I follow an account on Instagram called Fuckology Official.
Okay.
And
what do they talk about on the Fuckology?
Well,
Official?
not fucking, but everything that just is fucking
the fuckery.
Awful. Yeah, fuckery. And that's where I got the found a meme of adulting 1 star. This is fucking bullshit. Do not recommend.
Don't recommend it at all. Nope.
Yeah. It's gonna be a hard pass for me for a while.
Yeah. What are you laughing these days? Are you finding things that make you smile?
I am. I'm finding things on Instagram. So there are Fuckology Official is one, and then there's a couple related to Boozy Betch, which are just hysterical. I am finding a lot of joy in Schadenfreude.
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to karmically come back to.
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to come back to me. So I'm sort of like pacing myself with that, or rationing my Schadenfreude so that
Right.
I don't go too deep into other people's misery,
Okay.
bringing me joy. What else is making me laugh? My dogs make me laugh when they just because they're funny.
Oh, my dog makes me laugh. Mostly because he's stoned to the tits. He's got epilepsy, so he's on phenobarbital twice a day.
God.
So he just kind of looks at you. And Jerry and I are like, we are definitely those gays with the dog. Like the dog has a voice that talks to us. We have conversations with them.
Oh yeah, I mean my dogs too. They have we have
voices.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So my female dog Oakley, she sounds like a cross between Edith Bunker and Marge Simpson.
Okay.
and then my male dog Tanner is the voice of that meme, the Irma Gerd girl.
Oh, Irma Gerd. That's what it sounds like. Hey, Mom. I really want a snack now. Maybe she took me up for her work.
That's him. He's like a Southern Irma Gerd.
Irma Gerd.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. No, Emmett Otter sounds. I mean, he sounds kind of like this. He does this little thing. And then he swears like a sailor. Like, this is bullshit.
This is fucking bullshit.
It's fucking bullshit.
It's fucking bullshit.
All he wants is just he wants some chicken. And I want some bread. And that's it. But he's also like, we have created the neediest dog on the planet. So he's now like, we're like, what do you need? And he's just like, carry me. Like, he's a big dog too. I'm like, no, I'm not carrying you. And he's like, Yeah, he's kind of, he's basically anything that is a flat surface is this house is nothing but dog beds. It is one giant dog bed. And you walk in and usually he's like, it's like the end of Hedda Gobbler. He's just like splayed out dramatically on something or like looking at you like you've neglected me. So he brings me joy. But I'm like, dude, he's usually kind of a little lump over in the corner. He just wants to be petted.
Yeah.
And truthfully, aren't we all that right now these days? We're that lump in the corner who just want to be pet.
Just like, someone
pet me, please. That's all. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Belly rub.
I've got friends who I will hug. Like, we've just decided, Rona be damned, we are hugging.
Good.
And and when we do, we like cling to each other.
Yeah. Like
a lot longer than probably is appropriate,
Yeah, but what's appropriate if it's between friends? And you have that written agreement or nonverbal agreement, whatever it is.
Yeah, just hold me, please, for another 5 seconds.
I just need contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, how can people get more of you right now before you appear in person?
Well, you can catch me every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. You can either go to WCPT820.com. And my show is called Out Chicago. It's Sunday brunch with your gay best friends.
Ooh, I love it.
Yes. Usually it's, we try to make it fun, but let me tell you, lately we've been just going full tilt boogie on this fucking election. Or you can find that on Facebook at Out Chicago Radio. We also broadcast live there. And I would say follow me on social media, but I mean, my Instagram is so boring. It's a picture of my dog and like some food I made, but it's Scott Danger Duff. And if you do want to go check out some fun stuff, go to YouTube and you can find Scott Duff Cooking Stuff, which is a video cooking series that started with the Quarantine Kitchen. And it will be coming back. Hopefully we'll have new videos coming up in September.
Yay.
So yeah.
That gives us something to look forward to.
Yeah, hopefully. But I think they're like 13 or 14 videos up there. So like awesome. A Netflix season.
Exactly.
There we go.
Thank you again, Scott. It was so great getting to catch up with you. Well, you all know how to get more of Scott because I know you're going to want it. And thank you for listening. If you liked this podcast, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at beckybrett.live for daily inspiration, information, and support. I do daily and weekly Labyrinth Oracle card readings to inspire and guide my community. And if you're looking for a coach, the link to my application is in the show notes. I can't wait to hear from you. Enjoy the journey, everyone. And remember, you can lose yourself in a maze, but you can find yourself in a labyrinth.